The Black Plague, also known as the Black Death, was one of the deadliest pandemics in human history. It swept across Europe in the mid-1300s and killed millions of people in just a few short years. But what exactly was it? Where did it come from? How did it spread so quickly? And what can we learn from it today? In this video, we're going to break it all down in simple terms so you can understand exactly what is happening during this terrifying time in history. The Black Plague was caused by a bacterium. This bacteria lived in fleas, and those fleas lived on rats. When infected fleas bit humans, the bacteria spread. Once it entered a person's body, it could cause a number of symptoms, including fever, chills, vomiting, swollen lymph nodes, and blackened skin. This is actually where the name Black Death comes from. The dark blotches that appeared on the skin were one of the most visible signs that someone had the disease. The first major outbreak of the plague in Europe happened in 1347. It's believed that ships arriving from Asia carried infected rats and fleas with them. As these ships docked in Mediterranean ports, the disease spread rapidly. In a world without modern medicine or any understanding of bacteria or viruses, people had no idea what they were dealing with. Panic set in quickly. Within a year, the Black Plague had spread across Italy, France, Spain, and most of Western Europe. Within just a few years, it had reached as far as England, Germany, Russia, and Scandinavia. Historians estimate that the Black Plague killed somewhere between 25 and 50 million people in Europe alone. That's roughly 1/3 to 1/2 of the entire population at the time. In some towns and villages, nearly everyone died. Streets were empty, crops were left unharvested, businesses shut down, entire families were wiped out, and because no one understood how the disease spread, people looked for someone or something to blame. In many places, this led to violence, fear, and persecution. There were three main types of plague, all caused by the same bacteria. The first was bubonic plague, which caused painful, swollen lymph nodes. This was the most common form. The second was septicemic plague, which infected the blood and often killed people within a day. The third was ammoniac plague, which attacked the lungs and could spread through the air from person to person. Ammoniac plague was the most dangerous because it didn't need fleas or rats to move from one person to another. Just breathing near someone who was infected could be enough to catch it. Because no one knew the real cause, people tried everything they could think of to stay safe. Some carried flowers or herbs in their clothes, hoping the pleasant smells would protect them. Others turned to prayer, punishment, or isolation. Some people fled the cities and went to the countryside, but often they brought the disease with them without knowing it. Doctors at the time wore strange, beaked masks filled with aromatic substances to filter the air, but these did little to protect them from the plague. The social and economic effects of the Black Plague were massive. With so many people dead, there were not enough workers to farm the land or keep businesses running. This led to labor shortages and gave peasants and workers more power than before. Some historians believe the plague actually helped bring an end to the feudal system in Europe. Art and literature from the time also reflected the fear and trauma people were living through. Images of death, skeletons, and the idea that life was short and fragile became common themes. Eventually, the plague started to die down by the early 1350s, but it didn't go away completely. Smaller outbreaks continued to happen for centuries, and the disease is still around today in some parts of the world. Luckily, modern medicine has given us tools to deal with it. If someone catches plague today, antibiotics can usually treat it if given early. But in the 1300s, there was no such thing as antibiotics or even the basic idea of germs. People simply did not have the knowledge or resources to stop it. So what can we learn from the Black Plague? First, it reminds us how important public health and science are. The ability to understand diseases, track how they spread, and treat them effectively is something that we can't take for granted. It also shows how fear and misinformation can lead to panic and even violence. Many people during the Black Plague blamed outsiders or turned on each other because they didn't understand what was really happening. That's something we still have to be careful about today. History has a way of repeating itself if we're not paying attention. The Black Plague was a tragedy, but it also changed the course of human history. It reshaped Europe, shifted power structures, and influenced the way people thought about life, death, and disease. Today we have the benefit of knowledge, medicine, and communication that those people never had. If you found this video helpful or interesting, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more educational content on history and culture.